be something going on. I'm curious. I think I gotta go back and have a look. Well, it's a 1GD. I didn't see many people. One female, maybe on her own. Not in the middle of nowhere, but sort of in the middle of nowhere. We're in a Prado. We're the Prado team, and it's a Prado, so we thought we better stop and see what's going on. Well, she's on the road again, but there's some stories to tell from that one for all those people like... Wow, a 1GD engine replacement at about 100,000 kilometres, and the vehicle hadn't done any towing. Amazing. All right, everybody, we're back on the mainland. We're back in Australia, on the mainland, off the island of Tasmania. And look, I just want to have a chit-chat with you people about what went wrong with that Prado on the side of the road, just briefly, and some other information she gave me about the engine replacement, the engine failure. Yes, and I've got to try and remember what year it is. I've got Mitch here with me, so he might remember some of the info, because he was on the side of the conversation as well. But I think I pretty well remembered it correctly, or at least I would have shared the info with Mitch, and maybe he'll remember from either of those anyway. And then we can perhaps get some perspective of trying to quantify actual numbers of engine failures on 1KDs and 1GDs and 1GRs and 1KZs, and they all certainly do have failures, and I believe most of them are all probably all avoidable as well on all the engines. So it really does come down to maintenance and understanding the specific engine and what you're asking it to do and what maintenance it needs to overcome the conditions you're going to use it in. Let's firstly just recap over the chit chat I had with the lady at the side of the road. So we're in Tassie, we're cruising down the road or up the road, depends how you look at it. We're headed south. We were just before, where did we stay that night? What was the name of the place? We'll give them a plug actually. Where do we stay? One of your favourite places? Best room?
The Highlands Lodge.
Nah man, no. Where we headed that day? Mate, my memory's better than yours. Ratho Farm, mate. Ratho Farm, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Bothwell, anyway, right? So go and see Michael there, he's awesome. We stayed in the bakery, there you go, you can stay where I stayed. Tell him Anthony 4x4 Adventures sent you, or Anthony 4x4 Diesel, whichever channel we're on here. But look, what happened was, we're just before there, I wasn't in a hurry. Supposedly I'm the Prado specialist. I've owned and driven all the different engines over the last 20 years. We've worked on them for over the last 20 years and specialised in them for over 10 years. So that sort of says, okay, no worries, maybe I've got a bit of a clue about these cars and these engines. But of course, once again, I know there's definitely always people that know more than me. But what happened was, I decided, it was a bit of curiosity as to what's wrong with the car, and there was one female on her own, confirmed by, that's what you said, didn't you, when I said, was anyone else? And you said no. Yeah. So I thought we better stop and have a bit of a look-see-took-see and see what we can work out with this vehicle. So went, obviously, turned around where it was safe to do so, and then went back and had a bit of a look-see, bit of a chit-chat. She said all that was happening was, she pulled over, had the bonnet up because the transmission overheated, right? So transmission, and it was really simple. She didn't know, like most people, and this is a contributor to engine failures in all these engines, particularly the small diesels in big four-wheel drives towing big loads. A lot of people don't know, don't tow in drive, and if you've got a manual, don't tow in sixth or fifth. If you've got a 6-speed auto or manual, you should be towing in fourth. If you've got a 5-speed auto or manual, you should be towing in fourth. So number 4 is the magic number for towing. So don't forget that one. So I gave her the rundown. It was a, Mitch, you remember what year it was?
2020.
2020, that's right. That's what I thought. Thanks for backing me up. So it was a 2020 Prado. I believe it was the remap version. So I gave her the information on that it torque converter locks in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th gears, so you can actually use 3rd and 4th, whatever. If you're really flat or slightly downhill, absolute minimal load for a short period of time, I wouldn't be afraid of clicking it into 5th in a 6-speed. It's a little bit of overdrive, not as much as 6th. Certainly not drive or 6th gear, otherwise this is what's going to happen. The torque converter is going to unlock, it's going to slip, particularly in the older ones. Let's not go on about it too much. You can check the transmission playlist You can check all the other playlists on our YouTube channels for that specific information, or you can do a search on our channel. But so that was why she was at the side of the road. So look, you've switched it off now, you've been there a little while, just give it a bit longer, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. When the light comes off, it's not the end of the world anyway. It probably comes on at 120 degrees, I believe, because I saw the software on the earlier 1GD 2019, our vehicle, allow the transmission to go up to 117 quite regularly before it locked it up and started bringing it down again. It was like some safety override because it was way too consistent for it to be by chance. 117, and I reckon if you drove it hard and it wasn't able to lock and the temperature continued to keep going up, I reckon that you'd get a transition temperature light by about 120. Now, could be wrong about that. Happy for anyone to let us know in the comments if they've got a scan gauge plugged in, they've got a transmission light on any make or model vehicle. Let us know what it was, auto, manual, what year, what engine, and what temperature the trans light comes on. It's all good info for people. So that's what happened. But while we're there having a bit of a chit chat, right? So nice lady, we're having a bit of a chit chat, and it was 130,000 k's it was on at the time, and she said about 30,000 k's ago, is that what she, something like that, wasn't it? About 34 something. And I said, oh, so at about 100,000 k's? She goes, yeah, it would have been about there. Engine replacement. The engine on a 1GD 2020 had already been replaced. Had anyone heard about that? No, and this is my point. They're really good at keeping it quiet. Toyota, whether it's Toyota in Japan Corporation or TMCA, Toyota Motor Corporation Australia, whoever it is, Sean Hanley, is it his direction that's telling everyone, whenever there's a problem, don't say, yep, we've had a few of those. So I don't know. I'm asking the question, Sean, can you let us know what's going on? Wouldn't mind have a meeting with you actually and sit and have a chit chat about quite a few things that you guys could improve on from someone that's on the ground working and driving, using the vehicles extensively in the outback, on the tracks, working them in the workshop, owning them, driving them. I don't think anybody's got more experience, but we could certainly improve a few things, and I know a whole bunch of people that would like some better engine options, and I know we're limited what we can do because of pressure from the oil control organisations. Let's not say too much about that, but I don't know what we could even work out, but certainly something better than a 2755cc with a strap on. But anyway, that's another story. So engine replacement. So what I'm saying is, you could go into pretty much every Toyota dealer in Australia and say, hey, have you ever heard of a 1GD engine failure or been replaced? And they're going to go, oh, no, never heard of that. Because I believe from information I've been given, that's what they're all trained to say, right? It's a stand. Have you heard of a DPF problem? Oh, no, well, I mean, maybe a couple, but, that's about it, right? So they're really good at that. Now, some perspective on engine failures, right? Many years ago, I'm talking 2018, 19, 20, there was engines like 1GD found at scrap metal, Sims metal. I've got people I've got a lot of contacts, right? You know me, I know you, and if you've got info for me, a lot of people pass through info. They send things in the packages when they return their injectors, bottles of gin, Dan Murphy's gift cards, cash, old injectors sometimes, not always, and gloves and screwdrivers and other tools and lasers and all that sort of stuff, right? And it's appreciated. I love it, right? And it's not that I need it or I need you to buy it for me or whatever. It's just, I just like to see people that appreciate and show some appreciation. And it's good. And I appreciate everybody that's still listening while I'm having a good long waffle here, right? Mitch, is there anything you want to say besides that hurry up and get it over and done with?
No.
No, all good? Okay, so we know the engine's been replaced. I said, do you know what the issue was? She sort of said, oh, I think it was, something to do with overheating or, coolant loss or something like that. So I don't know if it was the EGR cooler problem that got bad quickly because they weren't monitoring the coolant at the services or whatever. And we've got videos that have already come out and more that'll come out about the safety of checking your coolant level and monitoring those EGR coolers in case they're leaking to save your engine. Subscribe, turn the bell, and you don't want to miss it. Long story short, we don't really know why the engine failed, right? Just same as I don't know why cars on this nice flat highway don't use cruise control like I do. It just makes you driving a little bit harder. But anyway, just use your cruise control, people. Pick your speed. I'm bang on the speed limit. Last time I checked, hang on. Oh no, I'm not. I'm That says
It's
100.
frozen.
Oh, it's frozen, that's why. So it probably is a speed loop. That's the Chinese head unit. So it's not happy, Jan. Okay, do you want to do something with that? Shut it off and restart it, or go out of it, in of it. Let me know what I need to shut this. I'll shut it on this. Here we go. Right, so bit of chit chat here. So you want to know how many 1GDs apart, how many actually have timing chain and guide issues, how many have DPF issues, how many have EGR cooler issues, how many engines have failed because of these issues. Because if you don't pick up that timing chain and guide issue, then your engine will fail. It's happened before. So I've said it before, I've been to dealers where I'm talking to parts managers or whatever who manages, or I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to get them in trouble with Sean, you know what I mean? So all I'm going to say is I deal with Toyota dealers across Australia and abroad, and of course many other parts suppliers. There's so many ways to cross a river, there's multiple bridges, and it's called diversity, right? It's beautiful, the international market, lots of people overseas as well. So my information is from all over the joint, so there you go. You probably can't track it down and get anyone in trouble now. But look, people tell me, they say, oh, you know, I got one over there, we're putting an engine in that, and I go, oh, they go, one of your favourites, and I go, what, you know, 1KD, and they go, no, 1GD, because they know 1GD isn't my favourite, right? They're being sarcastic. Now, like I said, it's probably a good little engine for some smaller vehicles, and without all that soot in the oil, and without that EGR cooler that's going to leak, and without that DPF that's going to cause problems sooner or later, right? 10-year warranty, whatever, right? But let's get some perspective. The idea was, let's wrap this one up. Let's get some perspective. So I actually personally have met a lot of people that work at or have worked at Toyota dealers, right, in Australia, right? So big Toyota dealerships, e.g., let's just use an example I've got in my mind. So he's a fully qualified Toyota technician, and I know many of them, and he said in 5 years that he worked at Toyota, whatever Toyota dealership it was, he never, and this was a few years ago, so let's say this might have been in about 2021, let's say, might have been 22, draw a circle around 21, a year either side. I'm talking to this guy, and he just finished up at a Toyota dealership. Oh no, he's still working there actually. I think he said, it's crap, I'm looking for a job, another job, I'm out of there. He's been there 5 years. So in 2021, a fully qualified technician that's been in the same dealership for 4 or 5 years, I asked him, and you know, his training could be good, but this is outside of hours, on the weekend, just between us, not going to name anyone, like I'm not naming anyone now, right? How many cracked pistons have you seen in your dealership? How many cracked piston jobs have come in? Not how many engines have you done, how many cracked pistons? He says, mate, to be honest, not one. I could have missed it, but the workshop's not that big. There's sort of 10 or 15 technicians. It's a pretty, you know, decent small kind of area, and I doubt a bloody cracked piston would come chuffing into the workshop, get diagnosed, or get repaired or in or out of there without him noticing. So 0 cracked pistons on any engines, 1KDs, in 4 or 5 years. Is that crazy or what? Like, I'm like, come on, man, are you sure? Is this training thing of keeping it quiet kicking in, you know? So he goes, no crap. He goes, like I said, I could have missed one, but so it's not like he's going, oh yeah, there's 2 a week or there's 5 a week. There's all these other people talking up numbers, and you know, you see them on the internet now and then, and people think it's a big, bad, nasty thing. And we've got this massive community of people that generally don't have any issues, and the odd one that comes through, there's always a reason, you know. Like I've got one at the moment. Literally tomorrow, one's going to get dropped off at the Prado Hospital engine, you know, the Prado Hilux Engine Replacement Hospital, where we've got brand new, not rebuilt engines in stock, waiting to be put into your vehicle in the event of worst case scenario. Do the job right the first time, do it once. We've got radiators, we've got injectors, we've got turbos, we've got everything you need ready to go into that engine, right? But the point is, not many people come to us because not many people find the information, and I guess that's why the ones that do generally don't have any problems, because they follow the information, that bread trail. So what I'll say is, to me, maybe I'm biased or something, but from what I see in the workshop, on the road, on the trips and all this sort of thing, I'm actually kind of basically going, well, this is one of the best engines in the overall package of things. It's bloody awesome. So what I'm trying to say though is, it doesn't seem to me like there's a lot of cracked pistons. I believe I reckon they're one of the best engines ever built, and I own and use 3 of them, okay? Now, everybody keeps telling me how good the V6 is, so I got one of those. I know they're a good engine, but they've got their issues, and we're going to run through all of that with the repairs, specifically on our vehicle, so that you can see the sort of things that do happen, and the maintenance program, it's a little bit different, and it's always better in a bit detail on one vehicle, being one of our vehicles, in a playlist, and there's a playlist for that one. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think it's called My 120 V6 2008, something along those lines. There should be a playlist on each of our vehicles, on each YouTube channel, really. If there isn't, eventually there will be. I'm working on it, right? It's a work in progress. Just like me, work in progress. You a work in progress, mate? Yeah, I'm a work in progress. Right, so now let's get some perspective. So the perspective on 1kds is, there's bugger all of them, because if somebody can work in a Toyota dealership 4 years, 5 years out in the workshop and not even hear or see one, there's not many cracked pistons going down. Okay, now, when I purchased this 120 back in 2014, at that particular dealership, old service manager who was old mates with another old service manager I know from another brand dealership, again, like I said, I know a few people anyway, and he sort of knows who I am and gets to know my skills and my level of quality and where I need to be. And you know, I buy this car we're driving right now, 2008 120. It's got nearly about 460,000 k's on it now. Anyway, I bought this car, 196,000 k's. The highest k's I could find at the time, 6 years old. It's a 2008. Towed caravans around Australia, serviced in Broome, red stains under the bonnet. Pretty well stock standard service and vehicle, other than the Bullbar dual battery or whatever, and towing a caravan. Probably in 5th year, in top gear overdrive, I'd put my money on. Anyway, that's another story, right? But what is my story? My story is, speaking of that service manager, same thing. Hey, cracked pistons. That dealership honestly had me convinced that cracked pistons weren't a real thing. It was just people online making things up to bag Toyota because they're so good, you know, just trying to harm the brand of Toyota. They honestly believed it. The salespeople, the sales manager, the service manager, the technicians there, none of them heard of a cracked piston. They didn't believe it. Like I said, they were so strong about it, they nearly had me convinced that there's no such thing as a cracked piston. And look, we'd only heard about a few in 2014, even though the cars have been out on the market for 9 years in Australia, since 2005. That is bugger all cracked pistons. Get some perspective here, people. And the ones that I'd heard of, they were at low Ks, because at that point in time, a lot of vehicles only done 80,000, 100,000, 120,000. And that's around about where they were at that point in time. And most of those vehicles were heavily modified and towing. And guess what they had strapped on? Yes, they had a strap on. They had a chip, they had a tune-it chip, or they had a whatever chip, right? Doesn't matter what chip they had. And then Steinbauers became popular after that. And pistons kept cracking with Steinbauers. The common one was about 150, 160,000 Ks. It was just kind of going off, it seemed. But there was a survey done and heaps of them had chips. Some people didn't. Some people are going to have old flogged injectors. They got higher in Ks. But all of a sudden, all these I'm putting my information out there for years, and all of a sudden, all these cracked pistons at 100 and 150 and 180 and 200,000 Ks stopped, and I never hear of them anymore. The ones I hear of are now 300 plus, like this one that's coming tomorrow, 300,000 Ks. No injector replacement. You know, it's a pattern that we see. It's a regular pattern. You know, something with a 3 in front of it, you're lucky you made it there, and if you continue, you're lucky if you make it something with a 4 in front of it if you haven't changed your injectors, right? Now, I'm not saying to leave it at 300,000. That's another story. Injector information playlist. So I've painted a pretty strong picture that sounds like I'm pretty biased toward 1KD being bloody awesome. So it's time to change it up a bit to 1GD. So 1GD, okay. We already said we saw engine failures early days. We heard, and we don't work on them. We don't want to work on them. We don't specialise in them, but we just hear some information. Well, you hear a lot more when you specialise in something like the 1KD. I was getting calls every day about problems, you know, blocked oil pickups. People just had no idea about the injectors, the injector seat issues. And this is why I did what I did, and I think for the most part, We've solved most of those problems. Just about everybody that does any amount of research that ever talks to anyone ever knows what I'm talking about, or knows someone that does, and they generally get kept out of trouble. But not everybody, which is why we've got a job coming tomorrow. So I've got to do these videos and talk to you people. You've got to share it with your friends and family. Everyone's connected. Send it to them in a text. Say, promise me you'll watch this video, not maybe this video. Pick out the best video of my channel that you think is relevant to them. Say, do me a favor, please watch this video for Christmas, and forward it on to at least 3 other people and do them a favor for Christmas, right? Get people educated. I don't want to do engine replacement. I don't want to do injector replacement. I want you to watch the videos. You need to do the work. You need to do the maintenance. You need to do the engine replacement. But I'm sort of mucking around there. If you can't do it, then we'll help you out, and we'll either do it or organise someone who can to do it right the first time. You're still waiting on these 1GDs, right? So how do we quantify 1GDs? 1KDs, we've got a fair idea there's bugger all. You can still go into a dealership today. You're not going to find cracked piston 1KDs into our dealerships, okay? A lot of people hit Google and they do end up at the wrong place, and other places that their cars end up when it happens, side of the road, tow truck run by workshop, tow truck takes car back to workshop, and of course the cheapest option is often the solution, you know what I mean? So just be aware of that one. So look, it's going to be really hard to quantify 1GD engine failures, right? So early days we saw them in scrap metal. Early days we heard about lots of problems, but the dealerships are taking care of it all under warranty. So what we really need to do is to get people that work at Toyota dealerships now to make a Google account and put it in the comments. And how do we know it's a real account or not? Because, you know, they're not going to put their credentials up, so it could be anyone making stuff up. But generally what I see in the comments on this channel, from when you got someone to watch videos this long, is it's pretty genuine. I mean, I don't see a lot of excuse me, I don't see a lot of bull crap, if you know what I mean. So this example, this is just someone on the side of the road. She's not online, she's not on the channel, she's not on Oz Proto Crew, she's not on anything, and most people aren't. It's only you smart people that are following the info, stay in tune with the maintenance. And I don't want people freaking out worrying about their engines. It doesn't matter which engine you've got, there's no point worrying about it. You just need to understand it a bit more and do the maintenance that suits what your vehicle and engine requirements are, what it actually needs. And I'll do some more videos and we'll give some more guidance on that sort of thing, and some other engines, because to me, I don't know, it seems easy to maintain an engine and what needs to be done. I don't know, it just seems really easy, really straightforward, really simple. So 1GD, look, I reckon you could go into dealerships and ask, and I reckon they would probably say, yeah, you know, we've replaced a couple of 1GDs. Look, I know for sure that if the timing chain and guides, you let it go too long, it's going to be an engine. It's already a big enough job. The engine's got to come out to do the timing chain and guide. So, like I said, a few grand worth of parts, a few grand worth of labour. Some dealerships apparently are doing it cheap. Maybe they got really good at it. The apprentices are just smashing them out. Hopefully you don't have problems later doing a rush job and all that sort of thing. You get what you pay for when it comes to that thing. You want something done quick, get the apprentice on the job. There's obviously a higher chance you're going to have some issues later. And this is why you brought a Toyota. It should be reliable from the start. And the last thing you want is an engine rebuild at 50,000 Ks or 100,000 Ks, because you might want to get a lot more out of it, particularly with the options of the new vehicles these days being even less reliable with the same engine but more technology and strap-on stuff. Now, I didn't really work out a way to quantify that 1GD failures, did I? Other than, I don't know, it seems to me that there's more 1GD failures earlier than 1KDs. Absolutely. I mean, the 1KDs didn't have any other issues. There's no DPF issue, there's no timing chain guide issue, there's no EGR coolant issue. But I keep saying we know one person that happened to. I'm sure there's a few out of a million, right? But it's basically a non-issue. zero and played it up. Could be 100% solution, or just bypass the coolant. Even if there's 7mm plate, I haven't done it yet. I believe it would probably be okay, but bypass the coolant and you're not going to get any coolant going in your engine. You're not going to need to spend any money to replace it. But on a 1GD, it could be a good option as well, and a bypass. But whatever. I'm not advising what to do on that engine because, like I said, I don't really work on it or do too much advising of what to do on it because we don't any longer own them, use them, drive them, use them for travelling, talk to anybody about them really, have them in the workshop. So we don't have anywhere near as much experience, although we've got a fair bit. We do service a couple and, you know, have owned a couple and used a couple, that sort of thing. But, you know, I'm really talking today, aren't I? So Mitch has told me people don't, might as well wrap it up, people don't listen this long. So there is some people that listen this long, and just to prove a point to Mitch, can everybody put in the comments, say, hey, g'day Mitch, hope you're enjoying the day. Look at that weather, it's bloody beautiful. And I can tell everyone it's 27 degrees now. What was it when we left, did you notice?
It's 22.
22, so it's gone up 5 degrees because we're heading north where it's a little bit warmer. Not much further to go yet. We're not quite trying to quantify how many DPF problems there are, or how many EGR coolers, or how many timing chains have failed on 1GDs. That's 3 problems that are an absolute thing that happen in much bigger numbers than any cracked pistons ever, right? Especially without chips and tunes, right? But even with chips, tunes and remaps, there's still a lot less cracked pistons than any of those things, is my belief. But I'm talking about actual engine failures where 1GDs have been replaced. Now, we know there's a famous engine rebuilder, famous for not all the good reasons, you know, each to their own what you want to do there. If you ever need an engine, it's up to you. I'm not here to bag out other people, even though he's certainly done a lot of wrong things, not just providing wrong torque specifications and lies on quantities of engines and failures, and stealing business names and trying to steal business. But we're not going to worry about that because that's just petty games that some desperate people need to play. We're not going to, you know, you can do whatever you want there, you know, hint, hint, you know, only new genuine parts. But at the end of the day, really hard to quantify with the 1GD, but they do have those engines available. They do sell those engines. So maybe asking that person how many would be some indication. But I don't think that's really going to be anything absolute. I don't think Toyota Parts is going to tell you how many engines they've sold. I'm sure, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be heaps of people that have done hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Ks on the 1GD. They're going to have no problems. There's going to be 1GDs that go to 1,000,000 kilometres without any issues. Whether it's luck, whether it's extra oil changes, whether it's highway Ks, they're going to be contributors. But which one and which contributors and how much, and, you know, roll the dice, you know, you're not really going to know, but you can sort of get the picture of roughly what the contributors are going to be. Well, here we go. Here's a good comparison, right? So, I asked someone that works at a Toyota dealership for 5 years, have you seen, how many cracked pistons have you seen in a 1KD? He says 0. So that's a good quantity. And then I pull over and help one person on the side of a road in 2024 with a Prado, and she just happens to tell me a side story about how the engine's been replaced. I mean, it could be just coincidence, but you know what? I reckon if we surveyed all these Prado owners that don't have YouTube channels and don't go on social media and don't go on Facebook, there's going to be a whole lot of people that have had issues and engine replacements that just think that they're the only one, and you know, but the service was good, other than the guy with the 30,000 K one tow in the caravan that had to do a video on it because it took bloody half a year or something to get it all sorted out. I mean, that was absolutely dreadful. Talk about absolutely no organisation to be able to get someone with their vehicle back on the road quickly, you know. I mean, if that was my Toyota dealership that either sold the car or that you came into with a breakdown, I would have that vehicle back on the road, Mickey Mouse, within a week, 2 weeks max, even if I had to do the work myself under the circumstances. But maybe it is a common problem, and if you can't do, if you can do one but you can't do 50, you sort of just give up and you go, oh well, you know, we'll just have to, you know, I don't know. Is that the only 2 engines on 1GDs that ever been? Oh, the only 3. So we know about solid evidence. One at scrap metal, one in a YouTube video at 30,000 Ks, one random chit chat on the side of the road. Is that the only 3 1GDs that have ever been replaced? My money's on not. Oh no, there's more, because Toyota dealerships I've been to just randomly chit chat with the parts manager or whoever a couple of times. They say both, two parts managers I can think of at the moment have both told me they sell 1GD engines, and they've had cars there and any engines at times when I've been there, and I'm not there that much chatting with parts managers at Toyota dealerships in Australia and outside Australia. I'm not doing it that much, you know, so yeah, you know, so whatever. Hard to quantify, pretty much impossible, but don't worry. But each to your own, what choices you are, it's all good. They're all bloody good engines, really, truth be known. It just comes down to maintenance, whether it's injectors, soot loading in oil, temperatures, EGR coolers leaking, all this sort of weird stuff. And come on, how about a round of applause in the comments for how long I can bloody talk today? I've talked way too much. I'm interested to see how this video comes out, because Mitch, can you explain to everybody your belief on the shakiness in the picture?
Oh, well, if you've got it on 4K mode, it's focused on the quality, not like, it's hard to explain,
It
but
is,
if you've got it on HD mode, there's another good reason. It takes up less storage,
Yeah.
plus it helps, like, it kind of gets rid of the shakes. It's kind of like more stable.
Yeah, so because the quality's not as good, it doesn't pick up the shakes as much,
Well,
basically.
it's not like, I wouldn't say it's bad at all. It's not much difference
No,
between them.
it's still good quality.
Yeah.
It's still good quality picture, but
there's
because
not much
it's
difference between them.
not as good or not as fast, I think it's to do with the speed maybe, yeah? So when we go over a bump, because we've got a Bullbar on the front that shakes the whole car, talked about that before. It was like that when I got it. Looks good. It's got its positives, but yeah, you know, it does shake around a lot, and that's the part I don't like about any of the four drives. Lucky for me, I've got two now without Bullbars still, and they always just drive smoothly, you know, they don't. Mitch, I mean, would you back me up? We're going on a suspension now. Let's just make this a really long video. We're going on a suspension, but so we just drove around Tassie in the 150, right?
Yeah.
When we went over small bumps like that, didn't it just soak it up and it was just super smooth? There was no shaking around, and the same sort of small bumps in this car, exactly the same suspension, same springs, suspension, everything basically the same. It feels more wobbly and shaky and bangy in this car, is that right?
Yeah, but there's pros and cons to a Bullbar. Like, if you've got a Bullbar, you can have like a winch,
Yeah, true.
antennas.
Yeah, well, if you
light bars.
want a winch, you definitely need a Bullbar, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have we got a winch on any of our cars?
The Hilux.
Have we ever used it?
Yes.
Have we ever used it?
Yeah, for someone else.
Oh, for someone else. Who did we use it on? I don't
We
remember.
pulled Cole back out.
I pulled him back out of something with a winch, did we?
Yeah, and
Really?
then we
I don't
pulled
remember that. Okay.
Cole out.
Oh, did we? Yeah. So we used the winch.
And I pulled
okay.
it out in this little
Oh, did you?
nugget.
Okay, good. So we
And
get
I
it.
put it back.
Well, I reckon we better get these heavy-duty side steps on and get out and give it another test, because it'll forget that it's a winch and it'll turn into a boat anchor. So we've used it. Really? Okay. So back to Bullbars. Yeah, right. So if you want to mount an antenna, but there's K-on solutions that put antennas just about everywhere else on your car that's better. Light bars and lights, yeah, you kind of do, don't you?
Spotlights.
You could put a really good light bar up on your roller type and roof rack though, and that wouldn't be in your view. It's a better, I don't know, I think I like that idea better than having a Bullbar. The only thing you really need a Bullbar
more
for,
clearance.
yeah, better approach angle, true. But that being said, Cole, he doesn't hit anything with his front bar, does he? How good does he do? Bloody awesome. Mark scrapes the Hilux one a bit. That's been repaired about 3,000 times because he goes hard. The plastic underneath's all ripped up. It's got screws and rivets and bolts. And anyway, we're just chatting here. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's hopefully catch you in the next video. I'll be looking at the comments. Let me know if you say g'day to Mitch or you put something up for my bloody waffle. And we'll see you in the next video. Catch you.